Hi everybody, my name is Jan Dufour and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I live just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. Today we're going to do this sweet little card which looks elaborate, and I've got a few other samples that have got a few more elements on them, but really is quite simple. If you're watching me on YouTube and you want the project sheet that gives you all of the dimensions to cut, you need to go to my website at stampmesilly.com. If you have any questions, or if you don't have a demonstrator and would like a catalog, then you can email me at jandufour@yahoo.com. And if you want to purchase any of these things, you can go to my online store at jandufour.stampinup.net. We're in January, so that is part of Celebration. So there's all kinds of things that you can get free with either a $60 purchase or a $120 purchase. Obviously, that one would be a bigger stamp set. Today, we are using the Misty Moonlight as the color, or one of the colors. We're using, the other color we're going to use when I make the card is actually going to be Mellow Moss. And we're using the DSP called Winter Meadow. This looks wintry to me, and that's where we're at right now. Currently, it is snowing outside in Louisville, which is not supposed to happen much. And then, of course, we're using Basic White for the background. So let's talk about putting this together. If you saw my, I'll put it up here so you can see it. If you saw my last video, we talked about magic punch tricks. We're going to use another one of those today. So here's the card base. Oops, get it to the right side. And this is with the Basic White thick. And then we're going to change it up a little bit. And I'm going to use Mossy Meadow for the background. And while I was making this, I started in the center. And this is the size of this lattice. So I wanted even sides all the way around, and then of course one just a hair's breadth skinnier to go on the inside. But when I did that, I noticed, and I knew because of the measurements, that if I centered it, I would have larger borders here than I do here. If that doesn't bother you, then you can certainly center it. I decided I was going to put it off center so it looked like I meant to do that, which it kind of did mean. My voice is a little hoarse. You know, the changes in temperature, I mean, it's going from, 48 to 2. So it's kind of messing with me. I don't feel bad, though, and it doesn't hurt. So no worries. There's lots of sick people around. I'm just not one of them. So I am putting it off to the side. I'm kind of making these measurements the same. And we're going to put that down. And then the DSP, I know lots of our papers are made with, this is a, let me just get one that's full. You get these sheets that are either like this or obviously 4 corners, where you can chop them up and make 4 cards or 6 cards based on how it's cut up. For some reason, that challenges me. I have a hard time. I see beautiful cards on there, but I just seem to have a hard time. So I've been splitting them up, and it's been working out great. So here's my little piece, and this piece measures 2.5 by 4. But if you're worried about it hanging over, go down 1 tick mark from the 4, and that will be 3 15/16, if that doesn't scare you. I just found it hung in a little place because I apparently didn't cut it perfectly. So I just went down in size a little bit. And then this does have even borders, so you want to center that. As long as you don't push it down, you can really move it around for quite some time. Once you push it down, it pretty much wants to stay there. It's really strong adhesive. Although I've successfully ripped off things, and, as long as the back side of it doesn't matter. So with the lattice, there are several different things you can do. You can cut it out of our two-sided adhesive, and it's a little bit puffy, and then you can peel it off. Or you can just, put a few dots. So I put one tiny little dot there, but then I wipe it off and put it elsewhere, mostly in the center of these little things. So I kind of put a dot but wipe it off. I am not going in every section. That's not going to happen. And so I do the four corners. Again, I wipe it a little bit and put some on the edge. Just one on each side. It's way too much. Okay. And that's enough. It's not going anywhere. It's not being pulled on or anything like that. So it's fine. So again, I'm not pushing real firm because there is a little bit of leeway behind there. I want to get it centered. So there we go. We got that on there. Isn't that pretty? Just all by itself. It could go like that. And then we're going to decorate. Well, here's I decided to switch this and use Mossy Meadow. So there's one of the tricks I was talking about is when you cut the punch and stamp, and I'll show you the hack on that. And then you cut the punch again in another color. Well, obviously, if you put it behind it, it's not going to show. So by cutting it, as long as one of the edges is the same size, you're not going to see the split because this is the same size right here. And that's how that works. Now, on this one, I went with the blue, Misty Meadow. No, Mossy. No, yeah. Misty Moonlight. Holy cow. Brain's gone. And just so you can see the difference, I basically wanted it because it's overlapping the green. So we'll just go with that. I'll show you some other ones I played with. So, well, probably better to put the glue on here. I'm not paying attention to myself. It doesn't matter that there's glue there because you're going to be gluing it down, so it's fine. And you can do it any length that you want, but I basically just put the curve of this into the notch of that. And that was enough. It showed enough. Let's see, it's just barely touching. And then make sure it's lined up. You can flip it over, make sure it's not hanging over in the wrong spot. Again, I would have put the glue here, not up here because it's going to show. And I need to have my nails done. That's a couple days from now, so I'm having a hard time picking stuff up. All right, again, I'm kind of hitting the corner to the notch in here. Once I think I've got it about right, then I go like this, make sure that I've got it straight, which I don't because you can see it's going off, and that means it's showing somewhere. So we want to correct that before it gets good and done. There we go. And so when we put that over, that's going to show. In addition, there are, let me show you the stamps. So that it's called Link Together, and they're all phrases, which of course you can do in straight lines and all kinds of things. But this fit right inside where I wanted it. And then it comes with some masks. So if you want, you can do some stenciling, and they build on each other like this one. You match up the notch at the top. And I think you can see that it makes it 2 layers, a thinner layer underneath. Then you have some dots, and then you have just some shapes, big shapes and little shapes. So that's the masks. I did not use those today. And then you have the dies, which, to be honest, this is what sold it for me. I'm getting to play with some of the others, and I like those as well. This oval is very good. This is a really neat thing that you can put on the front of a card. Real big sentiment. And the leaves ended up working out real good too. So it ended up being good, but this is why I bought the particular die set. All right, so that's that. So we're gonna put enjoy. Kind of look at your colors behind here. I think I kind of want it here so there's more green showing. So we're going to put this up on dimensionals. And I'm going to show you how I stamp the sentiment. It's the same process I use all the time, but if you're new, first of all, welcome. Please consider subscribing. I post once a week on Wednesdays. I rarely email you or send you an extra post, and if I do, it's usually because there's something free going on at Stampin' Up. All right, so I've decided I'm going to put it here. I want it sticking out a little bit so you can see some of the white all the way around it. And then I started playing with these things, and I kind of like them. So I think I'm just going to glue that one on top of there. Or maybe I'll just leave this one alone. I'll show you some with them, with the leaves on them. All right, so there you have it. There's a simple little card, little punch, little die cut, and you're off. And you can use any, there are so many. In the new catalog, we have little bunnies in a garden type setting. Those would be so awesome behind there. All kinds of things. So there's those two. We didn't put any bling on it. Come on now. I'll put some bling. And I think I'll use green since it's going to be just below the green. I could have used blue as well. There's so much of both colors that would go fine. All right. Now, let me first show you the trick, if you will. For those of you that may not know this. This is a MISTI. We had to give up our beloved Stamparatus. There is none as good as our Stamparatus. It did so many things. So if you can get one on eBay, that would be my first option. There's nothing wrong with the MISTI. It's well made. I just don't like that this doesn't sit still. I don't like that it doesn't detach, which ours did. But the rest of it, I mean, it functions very well. So what I did was I took just a quarter of a sheet of cardstock and I made the punch. I put arrows so I know which way I'm using this because it's easy to get them turned around. And then I just took this off and put it in there. And at first glance, this particular one kind of goes off into the stratosphere. As you can see, it goes up, and I liked it like that, but in this small punch I just felt like it needed to be straight, so I just played with it and stamped it on regular paper until I got it where I wanted it. And then you just take and I'll show you this trick too. You just punch a whole bunch of these real quick, and then you slide them in the template, make sure it's in there flat, and then you can stamp away. You can do these in big bunches. The other thing you can do, if you don't want to mess with the Stamparatus, or you just don't want to have the background punch, is you can add color by literally rolling it in the ink. Keep your fingers away from it because it can get messy. And that gives you enough so that if you were putting it here, for instance, you can see the edges because of the ink color. So that's another little trick. All right, let's go look at the other two that I made. They're similar. I just wanted to show you two things. One, this is what it can look like if you add some of the branches. There's a long one and a small one. This is pretty much the same. But also be aware that you don't have to have a whole lot of color or a whole, there's a lot of white space on this DSP, but it's not a waste. So here's one. It's got patterns in the background, blues, hairy of yellow. If you put this on there, and then you put this up here, you don't need anything else. It doesn't have to be real busy, if you will, in the background. So keep that in mind when you're making your cuts into your DSP. It is celebration. and that goes until February 28th. There is a new mini that came out the 7th of January and goes until April 30th. There's a whole bunch of online exclusives, which means they don't show up in the catalog, but they are online. And that includes some of the ones that, quote, retired, that were in an older catalog. And they're not actually retired. They're just going to be online. And then the last category is the last chance. And those, in fact, will be discontinued when we run out of them. So you might want to pay attention to some of those as you shop. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'll be back next week. I think I'm going to use one of the Celebration sets. I'm not going to show it to you. It'll be a secret. Have a great day. Bye.